Chargers parted ways with Joey Bosa in the offseason, leaving a void in the edge rushing room for 2025. So the Chargers went out in a draft in the 4th round and got Cal Kennard, former SEC Defensive Player of the Year from South Carolina. Now the question is, can Cal compete right away for an edge rushing spot? Let's get into it. All right, so the Chargers brought in Cal Kennard in the 4th round, which I think is the absolute steal for his skill set. SEC Defensive Player of the Year, led the SEC in sacks, the premium division in college football, and he just pops on tape as a very dynamic and very crucial speed edge rusher for the Chargers coming into the 2025 season. Now the question remains, now he's in the fold, he is a Charger now, he is a pro. The question remains, will he be able to unseat an edge rusher by the name of Tuli Tuipulotu in 2025? Because let's be honest, we're just not going to act like that he's going to be threatening Khalil Mack at this point in his career. We know what Khalil Mack is. We know what he brings. In my mind, in my estimation, he's a future Hall of Famer. So we're not going to see it in split hairs about him taking Khalil Mack's spot. That's just not going to happen. However, Tuli's spot, to me, could be up for grabs. Cal has the skill set and the talent and the athleticism to be honestly, in the running and in the mix for that other edge rushing spot. Now, I think we all believe at this point that Bud Dupree is a reserved, designated pass rusher. We're not going to see him much on early downs, and things of that nature, unless somebody needs a rest or a blow, somebody's tired or whatever the case may be, some rotational things happen, but he's not going to be the starter. So I think we all can understand and agree to that. However, what is this competition between Kyle and Tuli going to look like in 2025 in training camp? So in dissecting and breaking down these two gentlemen in its entirety, I have to say that I'm very torn because I love both of these two guys. I do. And I'm really happy and excited to see what they're going to be able to do when they really put the pads on and really get to going, because I really believe that this is going to be a headache for most offensive lines and the Chargers O-line in camp, because again, you have to deal with your own guys for the first 2 weeks. You don't really get a chance to take it out on other teams until you get into, scouting, scrimmages and preseason games and things of that nature. So for a while, you got to go get your own guys. And I think Joe Alden and Slater are going to get sick of these two gentlemen, in my opinion. I just think it's going to happen. Now, granted, we're talking about two, potential all-pros at the tackle position, but they're not going to make it easy for you. I'm just going to be real. I'm just going to be real. They're not going to make it easy for you. They're not going to give you any days off. They're going to test your mettle every single day because they have the skill set to do it. So we're going to dissect these two gentlemen really quickly, and I'll give you my takes on who they are and what they may need to improve on going forward. And then we'll decide, whether or not Cal has a shot to unseat Tuli, because I think that we all can agree that it's Tuli's job to lose in a sense, because he's the incumbent. He led the team in sacks last year. He was stellar, and I still think he's ascending. So we're talking about Tuli Tuipulotu first and foremost. Again, I absolutely love this kid. I really do. I had my questions about his weight only. I think the only thing I really had an issue with about him is his weight. He was at one point, he was at 290. He slimmed down to the combine, it's about 260. Now he's hovering around 266. Because I think that, again, a little bit lighter, but still with his power, he can be more explosive and be a little more quicker off the ball. But he is a designated power rusher. He's not a speed rusher at all. He's not a guy that's just going to be the Josh Allen Hines type, just going to blow by you with 4.6, 4.5, 4.6 speed. He's not going to be that. He's more of a 4.7, 4.8 guy. But again, he's more of a power rusher than anything. I think we can argue, we actually don't have to argue at all, that Tuli, Bud, and Khalil are all power rusher style edge rushers, right? So he's going to beat you with power. He's not going to beat you with a whole lot of finesse. He's going to bull rush you. He's going to, arm bar you. He's going to do a lot of things that involve power moves versus just actual finesse and speed, things, that he would like to utilize when he's rushing the passer. So again, I love this kid. I love his motor. I love his aggressiveness. He's very physical, aggressive. he's what you need in an ascending edge rusher. He really is. I mean, it's not much things you can say bad about him. Again, like I said, led the team in sacks in 2024 with 9. And that's really great. For a sophomore campaign, he didn't have a sophomore slump. He made his strides a little bit in rookie year, and he definitely had a breakout campaign in 2024. So I think he's going to ascend even further in his third year, in my opinion. I think they really got to steal. It was one of the few things the Brandon Staley regime did right in drafting this kid in the second round, because he is a stud. He's definitely a stud, and I definitely think that he's going to be a staple for this Chargers defense going forward. And I think he's going to be a household name in 2025 if I had to put a bet on it. So with that being said, I do believe that he is solid in both, run defense and edge rushing. Like I said, he's a power guy. I think that he has all the abilities and all the tools in his bag to right now, be the starting edge outside of Khalil Mack. Him on one side and Mack on the other. I think that is the mantra. But it's all up to Cal and what he wants to do in regards to how he develops in camp and how he impresses the coaching staff, and whether or not he could, challenge Tuli for the spot. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's something that I just recently discovered, and it is kind of went over my radar a little bit, went underneath my radar, that Tuli is only 22 years old. They drafted this kid at 20. He must have a late birthday or something like that, where he was eligible for the draft at 20 years old. He's only 22. He's actually younger than Cal Kennard is right now. Cal Kennard is 23. He's 22. And the stellar campaign he had, and he hadn't fully matured yet as a full-on, grown man. I think that his stature and his productivity is going to go off the charts. I mean, to have 9 sacks at 21 years old is not a small feat. It isn't. And so I think that, honestly and truly, that the people that are going against him or try to threaten him for his spot, even the guys that are undrafted and things like that next year, you're going to have your hands full. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm just going to have your hands full. But I do believe that iron sharpens iron. So I think that with him knowing Cal Kennard is going to breathe down his neck, he's going to try to up his game and be the mainstay guy and not make it, quote unquote, a debate for my money. Again, third year, 22 years old. I mean, come on. He's still ascending. I mean, he hadn't hit his prime yet for me at 22 years old. So I think that he is the odds-on favorite if I had to spoil it for you. But I'm not going to completely utterly count Kyle Kennard out either, because, again, what Tuli can bring to the table, Kyle has a different skill set and a different motor and mantra that he brings to the game. So let's move over to him and talk about him for a second. Like I said, former SEC Defensive Player of the Year, led SEC in sacks, and the kid, pops on tape. Just turn on the tape and just sit back and marvel. He is a pass rushing savant. He really is. 254 pounds, 6'5", I believe. This kid gets off the ball and he gives offensive lineman fits from the defensive line perspective. He gives them fits. It is not funny at all, and it's a long day. Pack your lunch for offensive linemen to say that he is not going to give you problems day in and day out and down on in and down out. Let's just be honest. He is a dog. He really is a dog. And I understand. Well, I keep saying I understand, because you should be banging down his door to draft him, but him falling to the 4th round has got to be one of the most ridiculous fumbles I've seen in quite some time. Because, again, you turn on the tape and you see the potential and you see the skill set and you see the Swiss Army knife that this kid can be as an edge rusher. So now, only thing I could argue that he could stand to put on about 5 or 10 more pounds, to be a dominant edge rusher in the NFL, because, again, you got to have, those bricks in your back pocket to play on early down. So let's just be honest. That's why Tuli's playing about 260. Khalil's playing about 260. Bud is playing around 270. Again, if you're going to be a power rusher, especially, or going to be a good edge defender, you got to have bricks in your back pockets in order to hold up. So I think that's the only knock he really has. And, again, he's a guaranteed speed rusher. And it's a complete contrast to what you have in the room already, what you need. Because I argued and I banged the table about having a good speed guy to get after his mobile quarterbacks in this room, and they got one finally. I think he's about a 4.6, a high-end 4.6 speed guy. And you can see his first step quickness, his 10-yard split is amazing. So, again, this kid has, all his tools in his bag to, be a dominant edge rusher in the NFL. Now, only knock I give him outside of when I talk about his weight is that he, in college, and this is, really digest what I'm saying here, in college was not the best run defender. Now, if you're not a great run defender in college, you're typically going to struggle that even more in the pros, because, offensive linemen are bigger, badder, faster, stronger, whatever you call it. They're going to be even better than what you see in college. Now, if you struggle with run defense in college, you're going to struggle with it in the pros. And I think that's only going to be the knock that's going to cause Kyle to only be a defensive specialist, a defensive pass rush specialist early on. Now, I will say this. If he's a quick study, learning from Khalil and Tuli and Bud, who are great run defenders and great edge setters, I think that if he picks that up and picks those techniques up and figures it out, go early on and quickly, he could definitely be a rotational, and I guess you can say a mix and match piece, even on rundowns, in consideration for helping Tuli and Mac out, especially with Mac being older. If he can get on the edge and stop the run, I think you can throw him out there and give Mac some breathers in certain cases, kind of keep him fresh down the line, towards the end of the season, so he can be fresh and make that playoff run. But right off, I think that his biggest knock going into camp is his run defense and how you can improve that. So, but if and when he does improve that, he's going to be a perennial starter in this league. I do believe that as well. So the future is bright, Chargers fans. I'm going to be honest with you. With Tuli on one side and a developing Kyle Kennard on the other side, you're in good hands like Allstate. I'm just going to keep it real. But the only thing is, Kyle has to develop, and behind a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion, and Tuli ascending and learning from Khalil already and having almost 3 years of experience under his belt, I think he's in good hands. I think he's going to be good, quick study and be able to absorb and, to sponge off these guys and be able to honestly and truly be the man, in 2026 for sure. But I think he'll be, for starters, from the giddy up, he's going to be a defensive specialist, a DPR, a designated pass rusher on second and long, third and long, obvious pass rushing downs to begin with. And then once he develops into a solid edge defender, he can defend the run better. He's going to be a 3-down guy as well. So with that being said, I think, it's a good problem to have. I think Tuli's the lead dog in the house to be the other edge rusher. Obviously, Khalil Mack and Bud will rotate in on pass rush downs, and so will Kyle. That'll be the mantra, early on, and as they develop and as they get better and as they fit in how Jesse wants to, mix and match and do different schemes and things of that nature, kind of maybe put all 4 of them on the field at one time as a power/speed package type of deal. They rush the passer on third and long. Why not? Why not? It's a lot of things you can do. He has a lot of options when it comes down to his personnel, which he hadn't had in 2024. So with that being said, I love Kyle. I love Tuli. I think Tuli is the lead dog right now. I don't see him falling off a cliff. I see him getting better. Like I said, led the team in sacks last year. I think he would do it again this year. And I think Kyle can follow up and have a maybe cut that in half and have 5 to 6 sacks maybe, to help out the team on pass rushing downs, along with Khalil and what Bud do. I think that pass rush is going to be much improved in 2025. So let me know in the comments how you feel about Kyle. Let me know in the comments how you feel about Tuli. Let me know who you think wins the job. Hit that subscribe button as always to never miss any Chargers content. And for always, you got to remember to bolt up.